This video is about the accessibility checker in Canvas. The accessibility checker is something that is built into the rich content editor, and it shows you some of the most common accessibility problems that you can have with your content. Um, Not only does it show you there are problems, it also has a feature built in to help you fix those issues. So the accessibility checker can be found anywhere that you use the rich content editor. So you talk about announcements, assignments, discussions, pages, anywhere you see the rich content editor, the accessibility checker will work with that page. I'm going to show you how to use it, and I'm going to do it onto a page. Now I have a page created called Bad Page 1, and that shows you the things that the accessibility checker is looking for, and then I'll show you how to use the accessibility checker to fix those issues. All right, now most of the things that the accessibility checker checks for are things to do with visual disabilities. So here, the first thing here is bad contrast. There's not a high enough contrast between the background and the text, which makes it hard to read. This is an extreme example, but sometimes it might be just a little bit off and you wouldn't notice it, but the screen reader will be able to, the accessibility checker, will be able to look for that. Some of the rest of these have to do with screen readers. So a screen reader will have a problem if headings are not sequential. So going from a heading 2 to a heading 4 is going to cause an issue. If your heading is too long, that will cause an issue. And so the accessibility checker checks to make sure that your headings are 120 characters or less. Lastly, it checks for alt text for images. If there's no alt text, then the screen reader is not going to be able to let somebody know that what this image is. So alt text should be added. All right, so to access the accessibility checker, I need to edit this page. All right, I'm going to make this a little bigger. So here is the icon for the accessibility checker, and I have that number 4. That's telling me there are 4 problems with this page. All right. Now, if no number shows up there automatically, sometimes you actually have to click on the page before the number shows up. So make sure you've clicked on the page before you assume that there are no issues. All right. Now, if I click on this accessibility checker icon, that opens up this sidebar. Okay. Now it highlights over on the left the issue. So the first one here is that bad contrast. It's telling me that the boldness and the contrast ratio, whatever. I don't need to understand any of that though. I can use the sliders, or I can just click somewhere else on the page to choose a different color. Right now there's no apply button because it won't allow me to apply unless I fix the problem. So let me try sliding the slider. All right, it's still no apply button, so it's showing me that, guess what, that's still not a high enough contrast now that it's been changed. So if I go back, say to blue, and I click on a brighter color, that apply is there. That's letting me know that, yes, now there is a high enough contrast. And so I can click apply, and it will automatically change the text to that color. If I don't want to change it, I can just click the next button and go next and just leave that problem there if I would like to. But I'm going to click apply to make that change. All right, now next it's telling me that the heading level should not be skipped. So I've skipped from a 2 to a 4. So I can leave this problem as it is and just click next, or I can click the drop down and I can do fix the heading hierarchy. That's going to automatically change that it's text that is heading 4, but it has actually changed it to a heading size 3 for me. Then I can click on apply. Next, it's telling me that my heading is too long. It should be less than 120 characters. So I can change that to a paragraph rather than a heading. So I click that. It automatically changes that text to a paragraph. And now I can click apply. Lastly, it is telling me the alt text is not there. Canvas automatically makes the file name the alt text, and in this case, it is not a very good description of what that is. You can't tell what the picture is by the title, and so I will put "Small Girl at Computer." That way, a screen reader will read then the alt text, and the person with a screen reader will know what that picture is. and then I can click on apply. Right, and it's telling me, yay, there are no more accessibility problems. So I can close that. And then I'm going to want to save on my page to make sure I save those changes. And so now this might not look that much different to you and I, but this will work better with screen readers, and that text is a better contrast for everyone to see. One thing to point out, though, is that the accessibility checker does not find all problems. So I'm going to go into my bad page 2. The problem with this here is that this is not set as an official heading. It is just set at a bolder and larger font. In order for the accessibility checker to check on hierarchy of headings, you actually have to make it an official heading. The other bad issue here is the link. There are no words attached to this. It is just the entire URL. That's not good for a screen reader either, because it is going to read off that entire URL, which is not going to let the person know what their link they're going to be clicking on. In this case, I'll show you here by editing. In order to make this an official heading, I would highlight it. I would choose the drop down where it says paragraph and then choose my heading size. So I do heading 2. Now that is an official heading that the screen reader, or the accessibility checker would be able to look at. For the bad link, rather than just typing a link in, I'm going to copy it just so I can show you. This is a link to accessibility page in Canvas. So I'm going to type out Canvas information. Right, to add a link correctly, I am going to highlight that. I am going to, where is it? Click on the link icon, and I'm going to choose external link. I'm going to paste that link in here. Then I'm going to click on done. All right, and now the screen reader will be able to read this page, and it will say Canvas accessibility information, and they will know that's a link that they click on that will take them to that Canvas accessibility information page. Now, this is not something that the accessibility checker looks for. That's just something good for you to know in order to make sure your content is as accessible as possible. So then I can click on save to save it. One last thing that I will point out about the accessibility checker is that it also set up now so that it will check things as you're going. So if I choose a really light text and I decide I want to type something out with that, and I start typing, you notice that number 1 popped up automatically. It is telling me as I'm typing that, hey, this is a problem. It's telling me that my contrast ratio is not large enough and people are going to have a hard time seeing it. So the accessibility checker now checks as you're typing, as you're adding content, to make sure that there are no problems while you're doing it. So as you're creating anything in the Rich Content Editor, keep an eye on that accessibility checker to see if there are any issues coming up.